So you quit your job and reality starts to hit different. That paycheck that you used to receive every month is now gone, and suddenly you look at money completely different. If you have ever thought about walking away from your job, or you are in that transition right now, this video will give you the financial wake-up call you need. Hi guys, how's it going? It's Latom checking and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm sharing the biggest common money lessons people learn after quitting their job. I, for one, have learned these lessons because at some point I did quit my job, so I know better. We are going to look at the truths, the surprises, and the habits that can either break you or build you financially. We quit our jobs for various reasons. Sometimes you need change, sometimes it's because of a toxic work environment that you want to walk away from so badly, and you are finally in that position where you feel that I don't have any other choice but to quit. And let's say before you finally walk away from your job, you have built up your emergency funds, you have built up your savings, and you know that you have something to fall back on because you no longer have an income. And we often talk about emergency funds to say you need to build that in case if you find yourself in this similar situation, but we never talk about how to spend that money and how your financial life is going to look like when you now have no income. Your life is going to look completely different. You know, life gets to be so easy. You also get to have peace of mind when you know that you have this amount of money coming into your bank account every single month. But now things are going to look completely different. And the question is, how are you going to navigate that stage in your life until you find something that is going to sustain you and get you back to the position that you were, where you had peace? And these lessons that I'm going to be sharing with you are going to help you in making sure that when you are now financially at that point where you have no income, you know what to do, you know how to spend your money and effectively manage your money, because that can be quite a challenge. And I did share this in my previous videos that it was very much difficult for me to manage my finances when I was unemployed, and it was hard to be as disciplined as I was when I had an income. So these lessons are going to help you in ensuring that you are not going to run out of your savings or your emergency funds Firstly, savings are a lifeline, and the earlier you understand this, the better. If you are somebody who is looking to quit the job, please understand that you are going to need your savings, you are going to need that emergency funds. So you better get started with building up that emergency fund. And if you go watch my previous video, you will see that I'm talking about how to successfully build your emergency funds. So you might need to check that out because that money is going to help you a lot. The biggest mistake you don't want to make is to quit your job while you have nothing to fall back on. Hence, I'm saying that savings are a lifeline. And when you are unemployed, you will get to realize that emergency funds are so important. You will actually learn to appreciate every cent that you get and put it away in a safety net for times like this. And when you don't have an income, like I say, you will appreciate every single cent because you will then remember all the times when you had all the money coming to you, and some you were not even saving because you thought, oh, I have an income, and you will always have an income. But the sad reality is that your paycheck is not guaranteed. You can be here tomorrow where you receive a paycheck, and then tomorrow things could be completely different. And that's what you need to understand, that your salary is not guaranteed. So after quitting my job, I have learned to appreciate money, and I have learned to take care of money. And right now I am doing far more better. And more than anything, I want to build up my emergency funds as quickly as possible because I understand the importance of having an emergency fund. So don't make that mistake of not having a saving, because this will be a very hard lesson for you to learn. And secondly, expenses add up quickly, unfortunately. This is the craziest thing ever that I also had to experience, seeing that, okay, but why does it feel like I have a lot of things going on and there are a lot of things that I have to pay for? And I felt like that because I was counting every single cent. When you have no income and you are relying on your savings, when you see that you only have 15,000 left, you're going to count every rand because you do not afford to lose any more money, and you want to use your money for the essentials. But life happen, and you are going to pay for things that you don't regard as essentials, but at that point in time they are your essentials. So those small expenses, they add up so quickly, they add up to a very big amount. And sometimes you will find yourself wondering, okay, but why are my emergency funds running out if I'm just 2 months into unemployment? And that is because of those tiny expenses. So you are going to need to pay attention to that and be disciplined, resist temptation. Personally, I struggled with this a bit, and I think it's because, when you just lost a job or quit your job, or for whatever reason you are unemployed, you get to be so emotional and just be in that depressive state that you can easily spend money recklessly, of course, because nothing justifies some of the purchases that you make, but you just make them. So be careful when you are in that space. You need to take care of yourself and just make sure that you are not that emotional, because if you are, then it's going to be a bit of a problem. You're going to feel like, okay, let me go get ice cream, or let me go get this, or I'm sad, or I've been applying, I'm not getting a job. It's just going to be a lot. So be careful of those tiny expenses, because they will add up to a very huge amount, and that can eat into your emergency funds and have them run out very quickly. And thirdly, you will realize that lifestyle inflation hurts. When you have an income, and like I say, you get to be so comfortable and think that you are always going to have an income. When you are in that position, you feel that, okay, I can afford this and that. And now that you are not going to be receiving any income, you will actually realize that, oh, I have inflated my life and I had no business doing that. Because now you would be having this and that to maintain. You have introduced yourself to this high standard life that even when you're unemployed, you might need, not even you might, you're going to feel the need to keep up with that standard. So you're never going to realize that you're overspending on things until you have no income. Then you will realize that, okay, I've been overspending on this. Actually, I had no business doing this kind of hairstyles or going to this salons where hairstyles cost this much. You will actually get to realize. And what I can say is, even for the people that are not looking to quit their jobs but are building up their emergency funds, I will say, think of such possibility, right? And it does not even have to be due to such an extreme case of a toxic work environment. What if you're going to need a change? What if you're going to need to start a new career from scratch, and you might need to quit that job so you can focus on maybe your new course or something like that? Think of the time where you might not have that income and ask yourself, does the life that I have introduced myself to sustainable? Can I still be able to live this life even when I have no income? And once you adopt that mindset, trust me, it's going to be easy for you to live within your means. It's going to be easy for you to manage your money, because then you will understand that this and that can happen in life, and I need to be good when such happen. So lifestyle inflation is going to hit you so hard when you are unemployed. So I guess everybody who is watching here has a homework, to just go and check where are you overspending and look into that and fix that. Because if you can get it somewhere cheaper, then why don't you go get it somewhere cheaper? So look into that and rearrange your whole expenses and also adjust your life. And again, if you are looking to, quit your job, I would say give yourself maybe 3 months and sort your life out. If you are living where your rent is 12,000, move out of there and go look for a cheaper place. Change your diet, change your food, maybe look to eat food that is affordable. Your hairstyle, especially if you're a girl. So look into those things and just adjust your life so that when you are now unemployed, you don't get to struggle too much. And number 4, cash is king. When your income stops, managing your cash becomes the top priority. So if at the point that you're at, you still fail to manage your cash, trust me, you're not going to survive when you now have no income. And managing cash is not only about what is coming in, but also about what is going out. That cash outflow that you take to your expenses, if right now you are failing to manage it, you're going to have an issue. If right now when you buy groceries, you have budgeted 1.5 and then you exceed to 2,000 and you say, oh, but it's okay, I'll get paid the next month. You are not going to have that luxury when you are unemployed, when you have no income. So ask yourself that the habit that you have of exceeding and going over your budget, are you going to be able to do that? Where is that taking you? When you now have no income, where are you going to get that luxury? And I've talked about just limiting your spending in my previous videos, that is very much important. And if you are not doing it now, if you are not mastering it now, you are going to struggle when you are unemployed. And remember, when you have no income, like I've said, you are just looking at your savings like this. Every single day, you are going to open your app and look at how much you have left. And look that, okay, if I have taken 5 rands and bought ice cream, how much do I have left? You will be calculating all the time. That does not come with peace. And if you could find that you are struggling with managing your cash outflow, if you are struggling with limiting your spending, you are going to have a hard time. So before you think of quitting your job and relying on your emergency funds, ask yourself of the kind of money habits you have. Ask yourself if you are a disciplined person. Ask yourself if you have a spending limit. Ask yourself if you are an impulsive buyer. Because if you are all of that, you are gonna have a problem. And the last thing you want is to be that when you are in that position. And I've been there, I know. Nothing is cute about not having an income, guys. I don't even want to lie. And for me, I also had something on the side. But knowing that that income is not enough to cover my expenses, yes, it was supplementing my emergency funds, but just knowing that it is not enough, I am not living as comfortable as I used to be, that did not come with peace. But at least I knew that I do have discipline, so I really tried so hard. It was not as difficult, so it was not a case of I have to push myself beyond my limits. And that is because before then, I was always trying by all means to be within my spending limit. So it's going to cost you peace if you don't know how to manage your expenses. And number 5, debt feels heavier. If you have debts, your situation is a bit tough. I know this sounds a bit harsh, but it's just reality. Your position is going to be a difficult one because the luxury that a person with no debt has, you don't have it. And if you have your emergency funds that you are relying on now that you are unemployed, they're going to run out because you also have to pay your debts. So that is something to give a thought to. And unfortunately, you are going to get overwhelmed. Way too overwhelmed. So think about that. Maybe then the move you have to make before you quit your job is to pay off all your debts and just make sure that you have 0 debts. And then you know that your emergency funds, your savings are just going to be for you and your survival. And another thing actually is that when you build your emergency funds, we never talk about accounting for your debts. We never talk about that, honestly. And that is something that you're going to be dealing with when you have no income. You would still be required to pay some of those debts, not even some of those debts, all of those debts actually. And we know that if you fail to, you're going to hurt your credit score. So you are now going to just watch your life getting ruined because credit is very much important. So don't quit your job if you have a lot of debts. Maybe then look to eliminating the one that is big. The biggest debt you have, take it out of the way and just be left with those small ones. And maybe then what could help you is to look into having a side hustle and take that money from your side hustles and put into paying off that debt. And then your emergency funds, your savings will fund your day-to-day life. And on the next one, side hustle matter. If you think you don't need a side hustle, you're up for another one. And I was watching Itumeleng's video. The lady is drowning in debt. She's failing with managing her money, and Itumeleng told her to look into side hustles. And apparently the lady said, oh no, those things are not for me. I'm not the type to have side hustles. And I was listening to it. I was like, hi boy girl, you know. So side hustles matter. In this day and age, side hustles matter. And the earlier you start to build a side hustle, the better. Because obviously you will be thinking of exploring other ways to make money. You're not going to think of starting a business, and it might not boom within the first month or the first 3 months. And where are you going to be? And if, let's say, at the very least you have only 3 months worth of your living expenses, you don't have enough. So meaning that in 3 months, you are going to be at 0. And the question is, if you start a side hustle right after being laid off at work or quitting your job and just having no income, what are the chances that it's going to be a success within the 3 months? I'm not saying it won't be, but I'm just saying consider starting a side hustle now, because it might not boom within that period. And number 7, you need clarity on what is a need and what is a want. And this is also important when you build your emergency funds. You have to focus on your needs. And the very same needs that you are focusing on when you build your emergency funds are the very same needs you are going to focus on when you have no income. Your emergency funds will only be for those needs. And don't make a mistake of being obsessed with maxing out your emergency funds that you cut out other expenses that you know for a fact that are your essentials. What is going to happen now when you are unemployed and you have to incur those expenses? So do not rob yourself, because when that time comes, you will actually realize that, oh, I fumbled. So don't put yourself in that situation. Be clear on what your needs are and your wants are, and focus on this one. Just focus on this one. And you'll need to cut out luxuries. As I have said, you will need to adjust your life. So when you are now living off of your expenses, that luxurious life that you have given yourself is not going to be there anymore. Unless if when you were building your emergency funds and your savings, you have catered for everything and you have 100,000 in your emergency funds, then you can do whatever you want. But otherwise, you will need to cut out on your luxuries. And the best thing to do is to just start adjusting your life slowly and plan, plan for when you're going to quit your job. Don't just wake up today and say, okay, I'm going to quit my job. Plan for it. How is your life going to look like? What do you need? And be very much honest with yourself to say, my life is going to look like this. I'm going to need this and that. I'm going to need to stop doing 1, 2, 3, and just be okay with it and mentally prepare yourself for it. In my case, even though I quit my job without having enough in my emergency funds, I planned to quit my job. I've put up a video. I'll put it down in the description box. I have planned to quit my job because I knew that, oh girl, you only have 15,000 in your emergency funds and your expenses are a bit more than that. So you're going to survive for 2.5 months, So maybe if you stay another month and then you get paid, then things will be a bit better. Unfortunately, I couldn't stay any longer, but I had that in mind to say, ma'am, prepare for this. This is not whatever. Be honest with yourself and just prepare for this. Yes, it is difficult. I'm even thinking of that video of that girl on TikTok saying, yes, I knew it. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna be difficult. Yeah, but I was quite honest with myself to say, your life is going to look like this. It's not going to be nice, but prepare for it. And when you have prepared for it, it becomes less difficult, That stress level gets to be managed. That peace, actually, if you are aiming for 70, you can actually get to 80% of peace. It just becomes way better if you have planned for it. And then next, you will realize that investments buy freedom. Passive income is going to come through for you in those times. And when we say build passive income, not only are we just looking at the fact that it's going to replace your bills, you're going to retire early. Even in circumstances like that, your passive income will come through for you big time. Because instead of solely relying on your emergency funds, at least you'll know that, oh, I'm going to receive 1,000 rands from this company as dividend income. It's gonna go a long way. And if you don't know how to go about building passive income, on this channel we talk about investing. So obviously the passive income is dividend income, and I have made a video on dividend investing for beginners That will help you understand dividend investing and just where to get started with dividend investing. I have so many videos on investing, you guys. You can just go and check them out. So start building your passive income today. Please do so, because that money is gonna go a long way for you. And some people just retire because they know that the dividend income is enough to cover all of the expenses. People retire before 65, even before 50, because of dividends. So dividends can retire you. Dividends can help you walk away from that work environment. You know, if you want to quit and you want to maybe stay 2 more months, if you have dividend income that you know for a fact that I'm going to receive 1,000 on this month and on this month, you might not need to stay any longer in that company. So look to build passive income. You are going to need it and you will appreciate it. You will thank yourself of starting investing as early as possible. And I remember it was April. In April, I get paid a lot in dividends, as well as July. So in April, I was unemployed and I knew that, but I'm going to get dividends. And I think I received around 700. That went a long way. It went a long way because I needed that money. It saved me, honestly. And I was like, ma'am, investments can save your life. Investments can save your life. So I would encourage that you start investing and just set yourself up for when you're not going to have an income. And unfortunately, it takes a lot of money to receive a lot in dividends. So if you're looking to quit your job within the next 3 months or 4 months, then this option might not be for you. You might need to explore a side hustle, you know, unless if you have a lot of money to invest in dividend paying stock or ETF that you know for a fact that, okay, I have 200,000 and I can put it into this stock and I can be guaranteed of maybe this much, you know, annually. But over and above that, it might take you a long time to build passive income. So the earlier you start, the better. And lastly, time is money. There is so much money attached to your time. You know, when you're at work, this is you trading your time for money. So you cannot afford to waste any more time. And if you're looking to quit your job, then think of ways in which you're going to turn your time into money. Sell your time for money outside of your 9 to 5. And again, with this one, the easiest thing to think of is compounding. When you talk about compounding, also talk about time being money, because you are going to take your money, put it into whatever investment or saving with an interest rate or dividend yield, and let that money work for you, and you are giving it time. So I would say, don't waste your time. Start investing, start looking to build a side hustle, build a business. Just do something with the time that you know for a fact that this is going to guarantee me money, because time is money. So quitting your job will teach you a lot of things about money and financial independence. And you will actually learn that financial independence does not come from your salary. It comes with what you do with your salary. So while you have the luxury of receiving that salary, look to save, invest, start a side hustle, and create multiple streams of income. And I was watching this other podcast, and the woman on there said that a paycheck is a trap. Your salary is a trap, and they are using it to trap you. But it is up to you to decide if you are going to be trapped or not. It is totally up to you. And the one thing that I realized is that if you give somebody the power to feed you, you give them the power to starve you. As I have said that your paycheck is not guaranteed, what you can do for yourself actually is to just make sure that you free yourself from those chains of giving somebody the power to starve you and giving your salary the power to starve you. And what you need to do is to get your money right. Just start saving, start investing, and start that side hustle and build multiple streams of income, because this will go a long way and they will pull through for you. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.